Hello and welcome back to the Eastwick Conference's film breakdown series, where today I want to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, the most important thing to note is that Evan Mobley is currently out with a calf strain, which means that a number of other players on the roster need to step up in various ways, and arguably none of them need to more than Jarrett Allen. And my God, last night did he. 40 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 4 blocks against the Portland Trailblazers last night in just 29 and a half minutes. Not only was it the first 40, 15, and 5 game ever in under 30 minutes in the history of the league, it was also the first ever without a single turnover. More than anything else, though, I think that it's a really good reminder to a lot of people of the variety of different things that this guy can do on the basketball floor. We're going to watch a lot of his buckets in this, but I want to start with some of the lower hanging fruit that is still very important from the center position that Jarrett does at a high level. And one thing that we saw multiple times in this game was his ability to rim run. It's a pretty underrated skill at this point, I think, for centers in the league. People talk so much about different skills, but the ability to just beat your man down the floor and get to the basket as the tallest guy on your team is really important. That time we saw on a miss from Donovan Clingan at the rim. Here on a turnover, you can see all he needs to do is just run faster than his man, and he's able to get really, really easy buckets for his team. This one, you see he turns on the Jets. Nobody on the Blazers has a chance to even contest that dunk, and it's a really simple bucket. Those things are small, but really important. And then I just wanted to include this one because what is Robert Williams doing? Nobody picks him up. Slow motion rim run, and he's able to get to the rim and finish. Something else that he does at a high level is finish in the pick and roll. With Mobley on the floor, it's a little bit more complicated in terms of how to use him because you have two relative non-shooters. Mobley has been taking more threes, but he's not a guy that defenses feel a real urgency to contest and close out on all the time. But when it's just Allen on the floor, you can space the floor out a lot more with 4 real shooters, and it gives him space to operate. I really like there how he relocates behind Jalen Tyson in that pick and roll to catch the easy pass and finish. And then here, does a good job taking a wide angle on his roll to catch it in an advantageous spot and finish over the top. And then here, operating at the top of the key, instead of rolling all the way to the rim, he stops right by the free throw line because Donovan Clingan is so far back in that drop, so he can be a release valve and finish with the floater. Another piece of low-hanging fruit that we saw from Allen in this one was as a putback finisher on the offensive glass. See, I actually want to rewind this one because you can see the Blazers botch this switch because they're too concerned about Donovan Mitchell. By the time Kamara gets to Jalen Tyson, Clingan already has to commit, so when the shot goes up, there's nobody to box out Allen on that putback. And then here, it's a similar story where Sharp gets blown by, Clingan has to commit, and he's able to finish right over the top with that putback dunk. And then on this one, when he gets the ball, he does a good job of cutting under the basket, puts his shoulder right into the rim protector, Robert Williams, and he's able to get that layup and finish. And this is where I want to move into something else, going beyond just the simple low-hanging fruit center things to where I think that we're going to see some stuff that has been pretty underrated from Jarrett Allen for a number of years now, and that is his touch and his ability to get his own shot under the basket. Here he's going to cut right down the middle of the floor, does a good job setting up his defender with the pump fake, and then that's just a really fundamental little post move into the hook. He has good touch on these hooks here once again on Robert Williams, finishing right over the top, that soft touch, and then here, this is something that we saw quite a bit from him in his All-Star year in 2022, but just going to work under the basket, really fundamental post pivots, finishing over the top of a real rim protector. Because Donovan Mitchell's on this team now, Evan Mobley isn't a rookie anymore. This team just isn't built like it was in 2022. Those are things that we haven't seen as much from Jarrett Allen, but they're still very much a part of his game when the team needs them, such as when Darius Garland and Evan Mobley are not playing. And then just finally, this is how you know that he's cooking. He fakes that dribble handoff, and he's able to take Donovan Clingan all the way from the three-point line and finish over the top. But I want to use that setup there, the fake dribble handoff, to talk about another piece of usage that I saw from Jarrett in this game that reminded me of his usage in the past, and that was the Cavs using him more as a dribble handoff hub above the break. I said he had 5 assists in this game. Not only does that tie a season high from him, this was the highest assist percentage he's had in a single game this season by far. And it really reminded me of the 2024 season when Garland and Mobley both missed a lot of that year to injuries. just like in this game, they both didn't play. And the Cavs really leaned into using Allen at the top of the key as a dribble handoff hub for their various shooters, in addition to playing these more spacey 4-out lineups with a lot of shooting around this one center in the middle of the floor. 4 of his 5 assists came in this way tonight, and you can see how a guy like Sam Merrill can really benefit from that, where all he needs to do is come off of a screen away from the ball and then come catch it at the top of the key. The same thing can go for a Jalen Tyson, who is playing out of his mind. Not only can he just pull up and shoot, but using his body as a screen allows a guy like Tyson to get into the middle of the floor and get to another shot of comfort for him. Here, the same thing happens with Sam Merrill, where Shaedon Sharpe plays good initial defense, but he just needs to come off of that screen, keep him in jail, and then step back for a shot of comfort. I don't think that this is as tenable when you're playing next to Evan Mobley because, again, I talked about the relative lack of shooting, how defenders are going to pull into the paint against Mobley when he's spaced out more often than not. But when you don't have any other options and you have to lean into these smaller, spacier lineups, using Allen in this way, I think is a really, really nice thing that the Cavs did last night. To close this out now, I do want to talk about Mobley's defense a little bit because 2 steals and 4 blocks is ridiculous. And also, I think that he's become a little bit underrated on that end too, as Evan Mobley has risen to a Defensive Player of the Year, all-defense mainstay kind of player. I, again, don't think a lot of folks remember that when Mobley was a rookie, when Mobley missed a lot of that 2024 season, Jarrett Allen was an all-defense candidate year in and year out. And because Mobley has assumed the primary rim protector responsibilities, we've seen less of that from Jarrett functionally in terms of how often he's been doing it. But he's still a very effective rim protector, and he does have a couple of skills that I think go pretty underrated. Chief among those are his hands. First off, you see how long his arms are, but I think he has really good hands. You can see there, does a great job of swiping in on that pick and roll to force that turnover, get the steal. Here does a good job with his hands, again, staying active in the pick and roll, baiting out that pass and putting his hand up to stop it. And then as a shot blocker, obviously his wingspan and his hands really help him right there. That's a 7-foot Wong Donovan clinging right under the basket. But I also think that he has really good timing to pair with that IQ. Here, he's in a weak side help position as Craig Porter Jr. is getting driven on by Caleb Love. Steps over at the perfect time to swat that shot. Now, grabbing the defensive rebound is a different story, but we move. This time, Shaedon Sharpe driving on Jalen Tyson. Once again, it started off as a sort of drop, but now he's in that help position again. And here, Shaedon is going up for the layup. And not only does he have a body on Klingon the whole time to prevent him from getting into position on the offensive glass, something we talked about with Alex Sarr, but then also has the wherewithal to rotate at the perfect moment to spike the shot away. And then in the pick and roll here, this is a pure drop rep from him. And this is another skill of his that I think goes underrated, and that is his mobility. You can see how he's moving his feet really well, does a good job of staying in front of the ball, and then he's able to track it, time his block perfectly, and get the stop once again. So he has this combination of IQ, really good hands, and foot speed, that foot mobility, that makes him one of the more dangerous rim protectors and defensive centers in the league, in my opinion. His contests around the basket are way lower than they are in the past, way lower than Evan Mobley, but similar to Mobley, opponents shoot way worse when they are going up at the rim and Allen is the guy contesting than they would otherwise. All of this in general, I think is really important for the Cavs right now as they navigate this stretch without their Defensive Player of the Year, but it also really makes me wonder because this is a team that did just make a trade. They traded DeAndre Hunter to the Kings. They got back Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. That's helped for them in the backcourt, but in the front court, it's something that's been talked about for a number of years now. This year, it's really come back up to the forefront as the team is not a 60-win juggernaut like they were a year ago, but the fit between Mobley and Allen has always been something of a question mark for some people prognosticating about the league. The fact that we're seeing Allen do more things that he was doing when Mobley was either out of the lineup or a rookie in terms of post finishing, utilizing him as a handoff hub, and being a relative menace around the basket, it makes me think that there are times that he's been underutilized. This season, people have talked about him like he's having a down year, which sure, he isn't leading the league in field goal percentage like he did a year ago. He's still shooting 60% around the basket. He's still an impactful defensive player. And I think that it has as much to do with role and team context as anything else that Allen is having this down year. This game, I think, is very emblematic of that. It has me thinking for the next week until the trade deadline, if the Cavs are going to keep making moves, maybe Allen is a guy that gets moved. Maybe in the summer they revisit revisit these talks. I'm sure Allen is probably more tradable than Darius Garland, given Garland's health. And if it does end up happening that Allen ends up on a new team, I think that those fans are going to be pleasantly surprised by how impactful this guy is. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it as always, and I hope that you have a great day.